When Ding Liren won the World Chess Championship in 2023, the chess world rejoiced. Even his opponent, Ian Nepomniachtchi, shared in the joy. But 18 months later, a different man stood at the board. The Ding who faced Gukesh was no longer the same. His rating had plummeted from 2,788 to 2,728. His world ranking from number 3 to number 23. And finally, he lost his crown to the teenage prodigy from India. Today, we dive deep into the story of Ding Liren. But before we do, hit the like button, turn on notifications, and share for more chess content. Ding, a quiet, reserved, almost shy man, did not fit the image of the triumphant conqueror who dominates with bravado. Instead, he represented the silent persistence of talent, discipline, and resilience. In that moment in Astana, Kazakhstan, when he hugged his mother with tears in his eyes and felt the crown of the chess world finally upon his head, it seemed like a fairy tale ending to a story that had been written in hard work and sacrifice for more than 2 decades. Yet chess, like life, rarely offers fairy tale endings that last forever. 18 months later, when Ding returned to defend his crown against the teenage sensation Domoraju Gukesh, he was no longer the same man. His rating had plummeted from 2,788 to 2,728, and he had dropped out of the world's top 10, sliding all the way down to number 23. His play lacked the sharpness, the composure, and the resourcefulness that had carried him to the summit.
He's going to defeat a very worthy opponent. A sip of water from Ding as he begins to come to terms with the disaster that struck in this final game.
Against Gukesh, he faltered. And with each passing game, the sense grew that the champion who had once stood so tall had been reduced to a shadow of himself. By the end of that match, he had lost not only his crown, but also a part of his aura. The chess world, puzzled and saddened, began to ask, what had happened to Ding Liren? How could the quiet giant who had climbed the mountain with such determination find himself sliding back down so soon after reaching the peak? Ding Liren was born in 1992 and began playing chess at an early age, quickly displaying a natural aptitude for calculation and strategy. At 17, in 2009, he earned the Grandmaster title, a milestone that confirmed his place among the brightest of his generation. Unlike players whose styles are easily labeled, some tactical whirlwinds, others positional grinders, Ding's style was universal. He had a deep positional understanding that allowed him to outmaneuver opponents in long strategic battles. But he could also summon tactical sharpness when the position demanded it. This balance made him dangerous, unpredictable, and respected among his peers. By 2015, he had crossed the 2,700 rating mark, an entry point into the rarefied air of elite chess. And in September 2018, he climbed even higher, crossing the 2,800 threshold, a rating that only a handful of players in history had achieved. For context, to reach that level is to be spoken of in the same breath as the greatest players of all time. Around that period, he also achieved a remarkable feat, a 100-game, unbeaten streak in classical chess from 2017 to 2018. It was the longest such streak in history at that point, a record of consistency and resilience that stunned the chess community. Ding was not only winning, he was refusing to lose week after week, month after month, against the very best in the world. Quietly, without seeking the spotlight, he had become one of the strongest players on the planet. His path to the world title, however, was as dramatic as any in chess history. In 2022, he was not even supposed to be in the candidates tournament, the elite event that decides who gets to challenge for the world championship. Due to unusual circumstances and late withdrawals, he was invited at the very last moment. Many saw him as an outsider, perhaps even a placeholder, but Ding proved them wrong. He fought his way to second place, sealing his spot with a crucial win over Hikaru Nakamura in the final round. Normally, second place in the candidates would not lead to a world championship match, but fate intervened in the form of Magnus Carlsen. The reigning champion, after dominating the chess world for more than a decade, stunned the community by abdicating his title. refusing to defend it. That single decision elevated Ding from runner-up to challenger. And suddenly, the quiet man from China stood on the brink of history. The World Championship match in Astana in 2023 between Ding and Ian Nepomniachtchi was unforgettable. The contest went back and forth in dramatic fashion. Nepomniachtchi, aggressive and ambitious, struck first. Ding, resilient and resourceful, struck back. Each classical game seemed to carry the weight of destiny. And when the match ended in a tie after 14 games, it all came down to rapid tie breaks. In the decisive fourth game of the rapid playoff, with the world watching and the pressure immense, Ding produced one of the most courageous decisions ever made in a World Championship match. In a balanced but tense position, he played the stunning move, Rook to G6, a bold stroke that locked his opponent out and gave him a decisive advantage.
Ding Liren trying to win this game because
Minutes later, it was over. Ding Liren was the 17th world chess champion, the first man from China to hold the title. The hall erupted in applause. His mother embraced him. And his second, Richard Rapport, stood by his side in joy. For a brief, shining moment, it seemed that everything had fallen into place. But behind the glory, cracks were already beginning to show. Ding himself admitted after the match that he had struggled with immense pressure, sleepless nights, and the weight of expectation. He called the crown too heavy. In the months that followed, instead of basking in his new role, he seemed to retreat. He took a 9-month break from tournaments, citing exhaustion and health problems. In an email exchange with chess.com, Ding openly admitted he was struggling with illness, depression, and difficulties with sleep and concentration. It was an astonishingly honest confession from a world champion. But it revealed the truth. The very title that should have been the peak of his life had come with unbearable psychological costs. Theories abounded, but the simplest explanation was also the truest. Ding was burnt out, exhausted, and suffering from depression. The demands of elite chess are brutal. Every game requires hours of preparation, memorizing computer lines, analyzing every possible deviation. Every move is scrutinized by engines and commentators. And when you are the world champion, every loss is magnified into a headline. For someone as private and reserved as Ding, this burden was crushing. He confessed that he was unhappy, that the title had brought him more pain than joy. He had, in his own words, lost his feeling for chess. By the time the 2024 World Championship match against Gukesh arrived, many already sensed the outcome. Gukesh, the teenage Indian prodigy, was brimming with energy, preparation, and confidence. Ding looked tired, tentative, and drained. The contrast was stark. Although he fought bravely, it was clear he was no longer playing at the level required to defend the crown.
This is unbelievable. The final moments before a new world champion is crowned, he will resign in this position. Words can't capture the significance of this moment, and there it is.
He's also crying. Amazing. What a picture.
When the match ended, Gukesh was the new champion, and Ding was left with a difficult truth. His reign was over after just 18 months. Yet if the story ended there, it would be too simple. Ding's struggles, painful as they are, carry an important reminder for the chess world. Champions are human. They are not machines, not unfeeling engines of calculation. They carry the same burdens of anxiety, exhaustion, and depression that anyone else does. Ding's honesty about his struggles, far from diminishing him, has only deepened the respect many feel for him. He has shown vulnerability in a world that often demands perfection. And by doing so, he has given hope to others who face similar battles. What lies ahead for Ding Liren remains uncertain. Some believe that without the crown, he may find relief and rediscover his love for the game. Others fear that his struggles may continue, limiting his participation in top events. But one thing is clear. The chess world still cares for him deeply. When he flashes glimpses of his old brilliance, as he did in Game 12 of the 2024 match against Gukesh, fans remember the quiet giant who once stood atop the world. They hope he can recover, heal, and perhaps, in time, return to the form that made him champion.
I was lost it yesterday, so thanks for his.
Ding's story is not simply one of rise and fall. It is a story of humanity within the brutal world of elite chess. It reminds us that titles, trophies, and ratings are not everything. Behind them are people, with lives, families, struggles, and emotions. When Ding hugged his mother in 2023, the world saw not just a champion, but a son who had given everything to reach that moment. When he later confessed his unhappiness, the world saw not a fallen king, but a man struggling with the weight of expectation. In both moments, he was authentic, and that authenticity has made his story one of the most compelling in modern chess. Perhaps one day, Ding will stage a comeback. Perhaps he will never again rise to number 2 or 3 in the world. But whatever happens, his journey has already left a mark that will endure. He showed China that it could produce a world champion. He showed fans that even the strongest can struggle. And he showed the chess community that vulnerability is not weakness, but courage. As the years pass and new champions rise, the image of Ding Liren in 2023, quiet, emotional, hugging his mother after achieving a lifelong dream, will remain etched in memory. For in that image lies the essence of his story. Not only a triumph of skill, but also the triumph of persistence, humanity, and the courage to be real. The chess world waits, not for another crown, but for Ding Liren to find himself again. Were you moved by Ding's story? Let us know what moved you the most in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't already, turn on notifications, and share.